If there's anybody out there looking for a silver lining of sorts now that Donald Trump is putting our country through the ringer, well, then we got one today for you guys, because Donald Trump is being absolutely decimated in his approval rating right now. And the crazy part about the whole thing is that Donald Trump has only been in office for 3 months. He's now setting all of the wrong records. He's the most unpopular president that this country has ever seen before. And Donald Trump only has himself to blame for this. And I'm not just talking about all of the crazy lefties or the Democrats. I'm talking about people who undoubtedly voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these independents and why they think Donald Trump is just absolutely not living up to his promises. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Yeah, we'll focus in on independents here, and independents feel that Donald Trump has vacated the center of the electorate, catering to his base. What are we talking about? Well, let's talk about the overall net approval ratings. We're going to look at the worst ever at this point in a presidency. The old record among independents for the worst ever was Donald Trump back in 2016, a net approval rating of minus 16 points. Well, Donald Trump has broken his own record here. He now holds, in this particular term, the worst ever net approval rating at this point in a presidency among independents at, get this, minus 22 points. He is 22 points underwater with independents. That breaks the old record that belonged to Trump. He has set the new record. He is completely underwater with the center of the electorate, Kate Baldwin.
And this is overall. This
Yes.
is on all the issues. Now,
You just gotta love to see it, right? Donald Trump is breaking his own record that he set for disapproval in his first term. And you're talking about negative 22 net approval among independents, and you're only 3 months in to your presidency? I mean, it is absolutely stunning, folks. People are looking around and saying, what is Donald Trump even doing for me? Everybody was hurt after the pandemic. People had economic anxiety. Donald Trump promised that he was going to come into office. He was going to lower your cost of living. He was going to give you a little bit more buying power. And what have we seen from Donald Trump? We've seen him going after universities. We've seen him going after law firms. We have seen him naming individuals in executive orders. He's just out of control. And people are rightly looking around and noticing that this isn't what I signed up for. These aren't the promises that you made. Donald Trump is just going on a revenge tour, and all of the promises that he did make during his campaign, those are nowhere to be found. And people are rightly registering their discontent with these pollsters, and I just love to see it. Here he is talking about why the independents are turning on Donald Trump right now.
Right? What is driving this overall approval rating for Donald Trump among independents to go underwater? Let's take a look at the economy, and let's take a look at Trump's net approval rating on it and look at the trend line over just the last few months. You go back to January, he was slightly above water with independents at plus 1 point. Look at this drop, Kate. Oh my, minus 29 points. That's a 30-point drop in under 3 months of time. What independents are hearing from Donald Trump, they hate what they're hearing from Donald Trump, and they are abandoning him in record numbers. At this point in his last presidency, he was about at 0 points in terms of his net approval rating on the economy, and now he's at minus 29 points. You go back through the record books, I simply put, Kate Baldwin, can't find anything close to this. This is such a record that there is no historical analogy to be 29 points underwater on the most important issue of the day with independents. This right here, my dear friends, is political poison. If an election were held today and Donald Trump's net approval rating in the economy was minus 29 points with independents, I'm not quite sure how Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives.
This is political poison. Harry Enton rightly is putting the right term on what we are seeing right here. And if Donald Trump thinks that he's going to go into the midterms with a negative 29 approval rating, I mean, Democrats are going to sweep. They'd be likely to take the House and the Senate, which would be awesome for the Democrats. But again, Donald Trump brought all of this on himself. He hasn't been focusing on the economy. He hasn't been focusing on bringing down prices. Donald Trump is going, Donald Trump is going on a revenge tour, and he's only looking to serve himself. And then we've got all of the corruption that surrounds the Trump administration, launching a meme coin that fleeced tons of his followers right before inauguration. We have seen insider trading on all of these ups and downs on the tariffs. I mean, what did he think was going to happen? And you know Donald Trump is such a malignant narcissist that he is watching these polls every night, and he's probably crying himself to sleep. And I am here for it. Oh my goodness. It is just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So they get a little bit more specific into why the economy is doing so poorly, or why people are judging him so harshly on the economy.
Let's take a look here at tariffs. This is definitely part of it. A clear plan for tariffs and trade among independents. Look at this. 57% say no. He doesn't even have a clear plan for what he should be doing with tariffs and trade. And when asked whether or not they like the idea of additional tariffs, guess what percentage of independents say no, that they oppose it? It is 2/3. It is 66% of independents who oppose new tariffs. They don't like anything that's coming out of Donald Trump's right now, absent maybe immigration. But when it comes to the economy, when it comes to overall, when it comes to tariff, it's a threesome for negativity among independents. They oppose. They simply do not like the words that are coming out of Donald Trump's mouth and the plans that he is putting forward to the American public.
I mean, we should have all seen this coming, right? Donald Trump won the 2024 election because he was going to come in, he was going to lower egg prices, he was going to lower housing prices, he's going to make everything just a little bit more affordable. And instead, he came in with this bullheaded approach and he implemented these insanely high tariffs that are hurting everybody throughout the country. Of course, they are going to be turning against him in record numbers because you are doing exactly the opposite of what you said you were going to do. And I think the funny part about these polls is they're not only registering discontent with the tariffs themselves, it's that Donald Trump has no clear plan for what he is actually doing. And that's become more abundantly clear over these past couple of weeks. I mean, it started with our biggest trading partners, right? Canada, Mexico, China. The tariffs went on, then they went off, then they went on, then they went off. Then they calculated those insanely high tariffs using an asinine formula. Those went into effect for what, a few hours before Donald Trump caved, and then paused those too while leaving the 145% tariffs in place for China. I mean, they've been all over the map. And people in the administration, everybody is telling a different story. So of course people are going to say, these people don't know what they're doing. And they are exactly right about that. There is no cohesive strategy. There is no clear plan. And the American people are figuring it out. And we were just talking about independent voters right here, but I wanted to expand this a little bit and ask a broader question about how people think the economy is doing. Is it getting better or is it getting worse?
Let's talk about the economy, right? Think the economy is getting worse. Back in November, it was 42% of Americans. You don't have to be a genius to follow this timeline. By February, it was 49%, March, 51%. Look at where we are now, 53%. The clear majority of Americans think the economy is getting worse, and that number is rising. When Trump, of course, won that second term, it was 42%. Now we're up 11 points. The clear majority, 53%. This poll and this number in particular is no bueno for the President of the United States, Jessica.
Now, I'm glad that the disapproval is going up, right? But I'm still a little bit confused that it's only 53%. Obviously, it's a clear majority. People think the economy is getting worse. But how is it only 53% of people? I mean, we have seen consumer sentiment right now at the lowest levels that they have been, I think, since the Great Depression. Businesses are shuttering because they can't handle the tariffs and the uncertainty. People are getting laid off because businesses can't make their projection. The stock market's been falling off of a cliff. So it's a little concerning that that number is only 53%, but it is definitely heading in the right direction. And then they asked the other question about how these economic approval ratings impact his overall approval rating.
Yeah, okay, so we talk about the economy, right? But does the economy, the way people feel about the economy, equal the way they feel about Donald Trump overall? Because if it doesn't, if these two paths don't cross, then these numbers don't mean anything.
Right.
But let's take a look right here. Donald Trump's net approval rating. In early February, according to CBS News, look at that, it was +6. Late February +2, March 0, even approval, disapproval. Look at where we are now, -6 points. He's underwater for the first time in the CBS News YouGov poll, at least in his second term. Again, it's the trend line that's so important here, and the trend line and the American people are turning against Donald Trump. And that's why I said at the beginning, Jessica, that this, in my mind, is the worst poll that Trump has received in his second term so far.
I mean, that's pretty brutal. But one of the ways that you could read this is that Donald Trump had a +6 approval rating right when he got into office. People were willing to give him a chance. People were willing to have him come in and start trying to fulfill those promises, bringing costs down. And now we are only 3 months in, and because he is focused on none of that and instead decided that he was going to go on a revenge tour, just like we were all projecting before he got elected, now he's a -6 net approval rating. And the American people are just turning against him in record numbers. I mean, these are good numbers for us on the left. Obviously, these are terrible, terrible numbers for Donald Trump. They're probably so bad that he's crying himself to sleep at night, and I hope he is doing so because he absolutely deserves it. But again, this is a guy who promised this, he promised that, and then he came into office and didn't even try to fulfill any of those promises. I mean, I guess he did promise. I guess he did promise that he was going to put in place tariffs, but of course he was selling them as, oh, well, the other countries are going to be paying for these tariffs, so we're going to get all this manufacturing coming back to the United States, and it's going to raise your wages, and Donald Trump just sold a whole bunch of lies revolving around the tariffs. And now that they have been implemented, people are finally waking up and realizing that, oh man, this dude's insane. He's crashing our economy single-handedly. So I'm just so glad to see it. I really hope that these numbers continue in the right direction. I hope Donald Trump is the most unpopular man ever by the time he leaves his presidency. And it would really bode well for the Democrats if they can continue to message on the economy, continue to attach Donald Trump's name to all of this economic turmoil and uncertainty and absolute chaos, because it appears so far that it's actually working. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We're trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see how Donald Trump was palling around with another dictator as they laughed about defying a Supreme Court order, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.